is trademark. Archive Press. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. This work, including all text and original content, is protected under copyright law. No part of this material may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means without authorization from the PNTR network. An Introduction to Trail of Cthulhu Rough Magick's Lovecraftian Magic Explained. The Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, is a detailed sourcebook for the Trail of Cthulhu role-playing game focused on the theme and mechanics of magic within the Lovecraftian Mythos setting. Overview. The book, authored by Kenneth Hite, explores the nature, theory, and practice of magic in the Cthulhu mythos as interpreted through the Trail of Cthulhu game system. It provides a wide-ranging and nuanced approach combining Lovecraftian lore, game mechanics, narrative elements, and unique spells. Key themes and contents. Introduction to Magic. Discusses the metaphysical unity of magic and the supernatural in Lovecraft's mythos, including Platonic illusions and prehuman magical knowledge. Magic is portrayed as a perceptual and cosmic force tied to powerful entities and the universe's fabric. Magic ability. Introduces magic as a general ability usable by investigators and NPCs, with rules for how it is acquired, through experience, tomes, places of power, teachers, or exposure to mythos entities, and used in spellcasting. Magic sources. Magic can come from mythos tomes, places of power, titans and outer gods, and magical teachers, each providing unique game mechanics for acquiring or enhancing magical power. Spellcasting mechanics. Provides detailed rules on casting spells, costing stability or magic points, contests of stability, modifications for non-mythos magic, and examples of spellcasting including contact, binding, and offensive spells. New spells and rituals. Includes expanded spell lists such as Call Dismiss Azathoth, Contact to Wheel at UMR, Create Hypertime Gate, and rituals with elaborate casting requirements and effects. Magic and monsters. Describes magical abilities of various mythos creatures, including ghouls, Bayaki, Deep Ones, Loigor, Amigo, vampires, and others. Each is assigned probable magic ratings and spell repertoires. Idiosyncratic magic. Optional rules for individualistic or unconventional magic leveraging non-standard abilities or investigative skills with narrative flair. Magic traces and investigation. Details the physical and psychic traces left by magical acts and how investigators can uncover or interpret these clues using investigative abilities. Historical and legendary magicians. Profiles of legendary or mythic magicians from the mythos and historical occultism that add flavor and background to magical traditions. Technical and investigative supplements. Guidelines for how to intertwine magic with investigative skills, environment analysis, rituals, and gameplay narrative. Conversion notes and optional rules. Advice on incorporating magic into existing game characters, balancing magical power, and optional rules for non-magician spellcasting. Style and use. The book mixes precise game mechanics with evocative descriptions and Lovecraftian atmosphere. It enhances role-playing by balancing complexity with pulp adventure elements, enabling players to engage deeply with magic's narrative and strategic implications in the game. In sum, Rough Magics is a rich, multi-layered supplement adding extensive magical depth to Trail of Cthulhu, blending cosmic horror themes with practical gameplay systems for investigators who wield or confront eldritch magic. Here is a list of chapters from the Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, PDF. Introduction. Witch Magic. The Magic Ability. Acquiring the Magic Ability. Magic from Tomes. Magic from Titans. Magic from Teachers. Magic from Territory. Using the Magic Ability. Optional. Magic for non-magicians. Conversion notes. Magic and monsters. Examples of spellcasting with magic. New spells. Variations on old spells. Names to conjure with. The Spoor of Magic. What full-blown magi can do. Command the physical world. Disquiet animals. Immortality. time travel, hypnosis, idiosyncratic investigation, preparedness, riding, scuffling, sense trouble, shadowing, stealth, weapons, magic in theory and Lovecraft, metaphysical unity, platonic illusion, primordial lore, a supersensible world, cast a deadly spell, the paracord exception, new spells. Draw upon place of power. This list covers the main structural sections and gives a sense of focus areas in the book, from detailed magical theories, spellcasting mechanics, magical beings, to practical investigative and role-playing tools. Here's a chapter-by-chapter summary of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics. Introduction sets the stage for exploring magic in the Trail of Cthulhu RPG, establishing tone and thematic scope focusing on Lovecraftian cosmic horror and occult mystery. Chapter 1. Witch Magic discusses the nature of magic in the Mythos universe, presenting multiple interpretations of how eldritch sorcery works, from perceptual force to alien technology. Chapter 2. The Magic Ability introduces the magic general ability, how it is acquired in-game through reading Mythos tomes, contact with outer gods, teachers, or places of power, and explains basic mechanics for casting spells and using magic points. Chapter 3. Magic and Monsters details magical capacities and spell repertoires for Mythos creatures and sorceress foes, including ghouls, deep ones, loigor, and vampires, integrating them into the magic ability framework. Chapter 4. Magic in Theory and a Supersensible World explores metaphysical themes, describing magic as perceptual gravity linked with platonic illusions, higher dimensions, and cosmic entities, blending occult philosophy with gameplay. Chapter 5. Cast a Deadly Spell presents new, dramatic spells and rituals, offering mechanical detail on casting times, costs, and stability tests, with examples and variations enriching narrative and gameplay. Chapter 6. Magic from Tomes, Titans, Teachers, and Territory expands on sources for acquiring magic ability points and pool, including specific Mythos tomes, cosmic beings, mentors, and magical locales. Chapter 7. What Full-Blown Magi Can Do describes the immense cosmic powers wielded by Sanity Zero magicians, including control over time, space, mind, and immortality, positioning them as narrative apex threats. Chapter 8. The Spoor of Magic examines the physical and psychic traces magical acts leave behind, explains how investigative abilities can uncover magical residues and clues, enhancing mystery and tension. Chapter 9. Magic in Theory and the Metaphysical Unity delves into Lovecraftian cosmic metaphysics underlying magic, including platonic illusions, alien science of pre-human civilizations, and the multi-layered nature of reality. Chapter 10. Examples of Spellcasting and Conversion Notes provides practical gameplay examples for casting spells and converting NPCs or creatures, outlines how Magic Pool Refresh works and non-magician casting options. Chapter 11. Idiosyncratic Investigation expands on unique magical expressions tied to investigative skills and idiosyncratic magic, encouraging narrative creativity and deeper integration of magic in investigations. This structured summary provides an overview that captures both the narrative depth and the detailed mechanics of magic in Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, aiding players and keepers in understanding and utilizing the supplement effectively. Here is a section-by-section summary of the main structural sections of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics. Introduction sets the thematic tone for Lovecraftian and mythos-based magic, emphasizing cosmic horror, occult mystery, and the unknowable nature of eldritch power. Witch Magic explores diverse, sometimes contradictory theories about the nature of magic in the mythos setting, from cosmic energy manipulation to spirit invocation and alien technology. The Magic Ability introduces the new magic general ability, detailing how players acquire it in-game through specific experiences such as reading forbidden tomes, communing with outer gods, learning from teachers, or visiting places of power, along with basic spellcasting mechanics using magic and stability pools. Magic from tomes, titans, teachers, and territory. Details the primary sources for gaining magic rating points and magic pool points, including forbidden books, contact with cosmic entities, mentorship, and attunement to magical places. Magic and monsters. Provides magic ratings and spell paradigms for a multitude of mythos creatures and sorcerers, ghouls, deep ones, loigor, amigo, vampires, and others, integrated into the magic system. Cast a deadly spell. Offers new spells and rituals with dramatic and mechanical depth, including apocalyptic invocations, binding sigils, and temporal gates, plus mechanical guidelines on casting costs, stability tests, and spell effects. Names to conjure with. Lists legendary sorcerers and occult figures from mythos and historical lore, providing narrative legacies and potential inspiration for campaign magic and artifacts. Variations on old spells. Presents alternate, often stranger versions of classic mythos spells with different casting requirements and effects to enhance unpredictability and flavor. The Spoor of Magic describes the physical and psychic traces left by magical activity, and how investigative abilities can uncover these clues, creating immersive mystery and horror gameplay. What Full-Blown Magi Can Do explores the immense, often ineffable powers of ultimate magi who have lost all sanity, including manipulation of natural forces, mastery of time and space, and immortality. Idiosyncratic Investigation expands on how unique magical traditions and idiosyncratic abilities can interplay with investigative skills to enrich storytelling and widen magical possibilities. Magic in Theory and a Supersensible World delves into philosophical, metaphysical, and occult interpretations of magic's cosmic foundation, such as Platonic illusions, primordial alien technology, and multidimensional realities. Examples of spellcasting and conversion notes. Provides practical gameplay examples of magic use and spellcasting, plus guidelines for converting NPC magicians and creatures into the magic ability framework. This section-by-section breakdown captures the comprehensive, layered approach of rough magics, blending rich Lovecraftian mythology, metaphysical philosophy, and robust gameplay mechanics to deepen the magic experience in Trail of Cthulhu. Introduction establishes the tone and scope of the book, focusing on the eldritch, mysterious, and dangerous nature of magic within the Trail of Cthulhu RPG. Witch Magic explores various interpretations and theories of magic in the mythos setting, emphasizing its chaotic, alien, and multifaceted aspects. The Magic Ability introduces magic as a new general ability players gain through game progression, detailing its role in spellcasting and magical resistance. Acquiring the Magic Ability describes methods characters use to gain magic rating points, including study, contact with cosmic entities, and exposure to magical phenomena. Magic from Tomes details how reading mythos tomes provides magic points, including specifics on notable grimoires and the risks involved. Magic from Titans focuses on gaining magic through contact with powerful outer gods and cosmic entities. Magic from Teachers covers the apprenticeship and learning process where experienced magi impart magic knowledge. Magic from Territory explains how places of power and magical landscapes grant magic rating through attunement. Using the Magic Ability provides rules and mechanics on how to use magic points in spellcasting, including stability substitution. Optional Magic for Non-Magicians offers alternative rules for characters without formal magic ability to cast spells by spending more stability. Conversion Notes guidance on adapting characters or creatures from other systems into the magic ability framework. Magic and Monsters lists magical capacities and spell repertoires of mythos monsters and sorcery-wielding creatures. Examples of spellcasting with magic. Practical gameplay examples illustrating spellcasting procedures, tests, and magic stability management. New Spells introduces a set of new spells fitting Lovecraftian themes with detailed mechanics. Variations on old spells provides altered versions of known mythos spells to enhance unpredictability and flavor. Names to conjure with catalogs legendary sorcerers, mythic figures, and historical occultists as narrative inspiration. The Spoor of Magic describes mystical traces magic leaves in the world, detectable by investigative skills. What Full-Blown Magi Can Do examines the vast, reality-altering powers available to ultimate magicians with zero sanity. Command the Physical World details how magicians manipulate natural phenomena and environments. Disquiet Animals explores magical influence over animal behavior as an investigative and narrative tool. Immortality describes various occult and arcane methods magicians use to extend or escape death. Time Travel discusses abilities to move through or perceive time non-linearly via magic. Hypnosis looks at mental manipulation using magical or psychological means. Idiosyncratic Investigation expands possibilities for unique magical expressions linked to investigative skills. Preparedness rules and advice on how investigators prepare for magical threats or encounters. Writing mechanics and narrative on mounting and controlling magical or supernatural creatures. Scuffling rules for physical confrontations under magical influence. Sense Trouble use of senses and magic to detect danger or magical activity. Shadowing techniques for stealthy following or trailing under magical conditions. Stealth guidelines for moving unseen or undetected when magic is involved. Weapons magic-related weaponry and effects in combat situations. Magic in Theory and Lovecraft philosophical underpinnings linking magic with Lovecraftian cosmic horror themes. Metaphysical Unity the idea that reality is a unified whole affected by magic on many layers. Platonic Illusion philosophy that material reality is a shadow of higher true forms, magic mediates between these worlds. Primordial Lore describes ancient, pre-human magical knowledge and technologies. A Supersensible World discusses access to higher realities beyond human perception through magic. Cast a Deadly Spell mechanics and flavor for casting lethal and dangerous spells. The Pericourt Exception new spells, specific unique spells associated with the Pericourt, expanding magic's narrative scope. Draw Upon Place of Power explains how ritual locations imbue casters with additional magical strength and ability. This section-by-section summary covers the key content and themes of the main subsections, balancing mechanics, lore, and narrative elements across the comprehensive magical system of Rough Magics. Summary of Chapter 1 Chapter 1 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics introduces the nature, theory, and practice of magic within the Cthulhu mythos setting for the Trail of Cthulhu RPG. It explores the fundamental conceptual framework of Lovecraftian magic, blending thematic and mechanical elements. Key points. Magic is an eldritch, non-physical energy permeating reality, tied closely to perception and cosmic forces rather than conventional technology or science. It is partly filtered through the will of the magus, who focuses perception to create effects. Magic involves communication and bargaining with spirits or entities that inhabit dimensional edges, often facets or avatars of powerful beings like Nyarlathotep or Yog-Sothoth. Proper contact and clearance from these entities are essential. Magic is often culturally secretive, ritualistic, and dependent on blood sacrifice, seen as providing a public key, DNA, to the cosmos for spells to work. There are multiple divergent interpretations of how magic operates in the mythos, each with different implications for in-game mechanics and narrative flavor. From cosmic pollution fallout to ancient pre-human knowledge embedded in the Earth's matter, all are considered partial truths. The chapter introduces the new generalized magic ability as a game mechanic, which players cannot buy during character creation but must gain through in-game actions like studying mythos tomes, communing with entities, or visiting magical locations. Magic potential varies by source, including tomes, e.g., Necronomicon, titans and outer gods, teachers, and places of power, with detailed guidance on acquiring and using this ability. The section presents a variety of examples, including spellcasting rules, substitutions of magic points for stability in casting, and options for magic use by non-magicians under certain game variants. Powerful ancient magi and mythic figures are referenced, along with descriptions of magical traditions and how magic traces affect investigation. Overall, Chapter 1 frames Lovecraftian magic as both a mysterious metaphysical force and a practical game system. It sets the stage for players and keepers to incorporate elaborate occult lore, spellcasting mechanics, thematic flavor, and cosmic horror uncertainties into the Trail of Cthulhu campaign. Chapter 1 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, by Kenneth Hite provides an extensive foundation on the nature and theory of magic within the Cthulhu mythos, designed for use with the Trail of Cthulhu RPG system. The chapter blends Lovecraftian lore with game mechanics, aiming to give both players and keepers a conceptual and mechanical understanding of eldritch magic. Detailed content of Chapter 1. Philosophy and nature of magic. Magic is described as a perceptual and cosmic force rather than a technological or purely mental process. It operates through the willpower of the sorcerer, who manipulates dimensional energies using rituals, words of power, and geometric symbols. Magic is tied to perception. Those who can see or understand more dimensions have greater magical potential. Multiple interpretations. The chapter presents a deliberate collection of divergent and sometimes contradictory theories of mythos magic inspired by Lovecraft's fiction, lesser mythos writers, occult traditions, and creative invention. These theories range from magic as pollution from cosmic god collisions to communication with spirits that are avatars of Nyarlathotep or facets of Yog-Sothoth. Magic ability, game mechanic, introduces the magic ability as a new general skill that investigators cannot buy at character creation but gain through mystical experiences like reading mythos tomes, communicating with powerful entities, or visiting places of power. Magic ability points can substitute stability points in casting spells, with detailed rules for how this applies in gameplay. Sources of magic. Magic can be acquired from mythos tomes, e.g., Necronomicon, Al-Azif, Titans and Outer Gods. Perceiving or communing grants magic potential. Teachers who possess advanced magical knowledge, and special places of power that concentrate magical energies. The Carter option. A narrative option for characters with a drive tied to sorceress bloodlines, allowing them to convert gained stability into magic points once awakened. Spellcasting mechanics. Rules for casting spells feature stability tests that may be replaced or supplemented by spending magic pool points, with examples illustrating these procedures in practice for both investigators and non-human magi. Special notes clarify exceptions and penalties for specific spells. Optional rules for non-magicians. Guidelines allow non-magician investigators to cast spells by burning extra stability points, reflecting characters with no formal magical training but emergent latent power. Magic traces and investigation. Casting magic leaves physical and psychic traces detectable by investigative skills such as archaeology, art history, occultism, forensics, outdoorsmen, and others. The chapter provides examples of how magical remnants affect environments and how investigators might uncover these clues. Thematic and narrative flavor. The text draws heavily on Lovecraftian atmosphere, citing stories and characters like Randolph Carter, Joseph Curwen, and Ephraim Waite, presenting magic as both awe-inspiring and dreadful, rooted in ancient forbidden knowledge and cosmic horror. Spell examples and new lore. While not fully detailed in this chapter, the Foundation prepares readers for new spells and magical traditions introduced later, emphasizing customization to fit campaign tone, whether pulpy or purist. In essence, Chapter 1 acts as both an immersive literary essay on mythos magic and a practical rulebook section establishing the magic ability, its acquisition, and use in the Trail of Cthulhu game. It embraces the inherent mystery and contradiction of Lovecraftian sorcery, enriching gameplay with depth and flexibility. Chapter 2 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, focuses on the practical and narrative aspects of spellcasting in the Cthulhu mythos, introducing new spells, rituals, magical techniques, and related investigative options. Spellcasting and rituals. Introduces new, powerful spells and rituals for both heroic investigators and fiendish wizards, often with high costs in stability, magic points, or health. These spells embody Lovecraftian themes of cosmic horror and danger, making their use a serious risk. Spells like Call, Dismiss Azathoth require lengthy, dangerous rituals that can cause wide destruction and threaten the caster's life. Other spells like Call, Dismiss Mordigion, and Call, Dismiss Shub-Niggurath demand specific conditions such as location, sacrifices, and time. Incantations include detailed instructions on casting times, stability test difficulties, costs and points, and opposition rituals, lending mechanical rigor to narrative horror. Example spells. Dominate allows the caster to bend another's will under very specific conditions, often requiring eye contact or verbal commands. Ensorcel item enchants objects to store magical energy or power special effects, requiring time and significant resource investment. Create binding sigil makes runic symbols or objects that help bind or control mythos creatures by reducing their resistance. Other spells include Create Hypertime Gate, which opens temporal portals, and various contacts with mythos beings like Hounds of Tindalos or Sand Dwellers. Magic use and mechanics. The rules clarify how magic can substitute for stability in spellcasting, how multiple casters cooperate or contribute to spells, and how non-magician characters can still attempt magical effects at higher stability costs. Magic pools replenish differently based on whether the game style is purist, refresh between adventures, or pulp, refresh more frequently under certain conditions. Magic traces and investigation. Casting magic leaves tangible traces in the environment that investigations can uncover, including physical, psychic, and supernatural residues. Various investigative abilities, archaeology, biology, occultism, art history, forensics, etc., can be used to detect, interpret, or follow these magical traces, creating gameplay hooks and narrative depth. Legendary magicians and magical lore. The chapter references legendary sorcerers from mythos and real-world occult history, such as Carnamagos, Edmund Carter, John Dee, and Iban, to deepen the campaign's mystical background. These figures serve as inspiration and legacy sources for new spells, artifacts, and cults in the game. Variations on classic spells. To keep gameplay fresh and unpredictable, the chapter offers variants on classic spells, emphasizing variability in effects, costs, and conditions to reflect the idiosyncratic and mutable nature of mythos magic. Thematic touchstones. Themes of cosmic dread, forbidden knowledge, and the heavy price of magical power pervade the chapter, reinforcing Lovecraft's vision of magic as simultaneously awe-inspiring and perilous. The use of blood sacrifice, madness, and cosmic entities is underscored to highlight the dangerous cost of wielding or confronting magic in the mythos. Chapter 2 thus serves as a vital toolkit of new magical abilities, mechanics, and story elements for Trail of Cthulhu campaigns, enriching play opportunities and deepening immersion in the dark sorcery of the Cthulhu mythos. Chapter 2 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, offers a comprehensive exploration of spellcasting, new spells, rituals, and the practical mechanics of using magic in gameplay. Detailed breakdown of Chapter 2. Rituals. The chapter presents potent new spells, some requiring elaborate and dangerous rituals with significant costs to stability, magic, and even health. For example, Call, Dismiss Azathoth is an apocalyptic spell demanding extensive chanting and ritual while risking devastating environmental effects on the caster's life. Rituals for summoning entities like Mordigion and Shub-Niggurath include requirements such as blood sacrifice and specific settings. Spell mechanics. stability tests are often required to cast spells, but magic points can substitute for stability at a 1-for-1 rate. Resistances and contest rolls involve stability or magic, depending on caster and target abilities. The rules accommodate both magicians and non-magicians, with options allowing stability expenditure to emulate casting in characters lacking the magic ability. Examples of spellcasting. Detailed gameplay examples illustrate how players cast spells, manage stability and magic pools, and handle binding and controlling mythos creatures. These examples highlight the physical and mental costs and the risks characters face. Binding and enchanting items. The chapter includes spells like ensorcel item, to charge magical items, and create binding sigil, which helps bind mythos creatures by reducing their resistance. Rules specify time, cost, and requirements such as knowing summon, bind spells. Offensive and control spells. Spells like dominate, affect willpower, and steal life, drains vitality from a target to rejuvenate the caster, incorporating mechanics for duration, resistance, and effects. Variations on classic spells. To keep gameplay unpredictable, the chapter provides alternative versions of familiar spells, e.g., Callhaster, Contact Cthulhu, with additional casting conditions or ritual costs, reflecting the chaotic, idiosyncratic nature of mythos magic. Magic traces. Spellcasting leaves tangible, often disturbing traces that investigators can detect. Investigative abilities like archaeology, chemistry, forensics, and occultism help uncover clues to magical activities, creating rich storytelling and gameplay opportunities. Legendary magicians and lore. The chapter introduces figures such as Edmund Carter, John Dee, and Malagris, linking spells and magical traditions to a deep mythic past. These serve to enhance narrative depth and provide sources for new spells and magical artifacts. Magic pool refreshing. The rules differentiate purist campaigns, where magic pools refresh only between adventures, and pulp campaigns, with more frequent pool refresh, reflecting varied gameplay styles. Non-mythos magic. The chapter also hints at other magical traditions beyond the mythos, allowing keepers flexibility to introduce idiosyncratic or culturally specific magical abilities and systems. Chapter 2 thus significantly enriches the game's magic system, offering evocative, mechanically detailed spells, rituals, and investigative tools, while reinforcing the Lovecraftian theme of magic as dangerous, unpredictable, and deeply tied to cosmic horror. Chapter 3 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, focuses on the magical beings, creatures, and monsters of the Cthulhu mythos, detailing their magical capacities, spell repertoires, and how they interact with magic in the game world. Summary of Chapter 3. The chapter provides detailed magic ratings for a wide range of mythos creatures, non-human entities, and cultists, indicating their power levels in terms of magical ability. It distinguishes between innate magical power, learned magic, and the use of spells typical among these creatures, often tied to their nature or species. Many beings possess signature or thematic spells, such as summoning, controlling lesser creatures, or offensive magics consistent with their folklore and mythos roles. Examples include Formless Spawn of Tsathoggua with magic ratings 5 to 16, Knowing Contact Tsathoggua. Ghouls, especially necromancer types, with magic ratings up to 10+, and necromantic spells like Resurrection. Hounds of Tindalos, Loigor, and Mi-Go with high magic scores and unique spell sets. Human-related entities like witches, sorcerers, or cursed individuals may have variable magic ratings depending on their study and exposure. The chapter also discusses how to convert existing NPCs and creatures from other systems or previous editions into this magic ability framework. Non-mythos magic traditions are introduced as well, allowing for idiosyncratic, cultural, or alternative magical sources, expanding the scope beyond mythos-centric sorcery. It includes notes on how magic manifests differently depending on creature physiology, psychology, and cultural background. Legendary magical figures from mythos lore and real-world occultism are referenced to add narrative depth and inspiration. The section enhances gameplay by giving keepers tools to balance magical threats and flavor magic use among allies, enemies, and mysterious entities. Chapter 3 thus deepens the magic system in Trail of Cthulhu by integrating the supernatural entities of the mythos, illustrating their magical capabilities, and linking lore, mechanical power, and narrative tension effectively for role-playing campaigns. Chapter 3 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, provides an in-depth examination of magical creatures, entities, and monsters within the Cthulhu mythos, framed in terms of their magical abilities, typical spell repertoires, and roles within the game system. Detailed highlights of Chapter 3. Magic ratings of creatures. The chapter assigns magic ability ratings to numerous mythos species and entities, illustrating their supernatural power level. For example, formless spawn of Sathagua have magic ratings typically between 5 and 9, sometimes higher. Ghouls, especially necromancer priests of Mordigion, have magic ratings between 5 and 10+, knowing necromantic spells like resurrection. Hounds of Tindalos have high magic ratings of 12 or more, with relevant contact spells. Loigor possess magic ratings of 18+, using spells and powers like telekinesis and harvest. Various humanoid or semi-human entities such as serpent folk sorcerers, Shan Magi, and Cho-Cho shamans have magic ratings consistent with their narrative potency. Spell repertoires. Many creatures have signature spells linked to their nature or cult affiliations, e.g., Call, Dismiss Shub Niggurath, Contact Nyarlathotep, Summon, Bind Dark Young. High-level Magi know several major mythos spells. Magic and monsters mechanics. Some entities use health pools differently, e.g., servitors of outer gods expend magic pool points for their powers. These mechanical distinctions help balance supernatural abilities with narrative flavor. Variations for game conversion. Guidance is provided on how to convert NPC magi or monsters from other games or editions into the Rough Magic system, including using stability scores as proxies for magic ratings. Non-mythos magic. The chapter recognizes other magical traditions outside the mythos proper, such as folk magic, conjure, or ritualistic magic, especially in pulp campaigns. These may use the same magic ability or distinct systems, depending on the keeper's choices. Legendary magicians. Descriptions of mythic or historical sorcerers like Edmund Carter, John Dee, and Iban enrich the magical backdrop and inspire plotlines, NPCs, and spell sources. Idiosyncratic magic and investigation. This chapter expands on how magic influences investigations, the traces magic leaves, and the peculiarities of idiosyncratic or cultural magical variants available to investigators and NPCs. Chapter 3 thus serves as a vital resource linking lore, game mechanics, and narrative possibilities for managing magical creatures and sorcerers within Trail of Cthulhu, enhancing both the mythic horror atmosphere and gameplay complexity. Chapter 4 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, delves into the theoretical foundations and metaphysical nature of magic within the Cthulhu mythos, blending in Lovecraftian philosophy, occult tradition, and game mechanics. Summary of Chapter 4. Magic as perception and cosmic force. Magic is framed as a perceptual gravity, an energy manipulated through will and linked to how entities perceive higher dimensions beyond normal human senses. The caster's will focuses these energies to warp reality, often invoking powerful cosmic entities. Multiple interpretations of mythos magic. The chapter synthesizes various theories about how mythos magic works, inspired by Lovecraft's stories and occult interpretations. These include magic as pollution from elemental god collisions, communication with spirits as avatars of Nyarlathotep or facets of Yog-Sothoth, and tapping into alien or pre-human technologies embedded in DNA and matter. Magic ability introduction. The new magic ability is defined as a general ability that players cannot initially buy but must gain through mystical experiences such as reading mythos tomes, communing with outer entities, learning from teachers, or visiting magical places of power. Sources of magic. Magic can be acquired in the game through 4 primary sources: mythos tomes, contact with titans, outer gods, magical teachers, and places of power. Each source has specific game effects and thematic implications, providing points in the magic ability or pool points. Magic application mechanics. Magic points can substitute for stability in spellcasting, easing the mental strain. However, certain spells still demand sanity costs or other specific expenditures. Characters without the magic ability may still attempt magic at the cost of greater stability loss. The Carter option, an optional mechanic allowing investigators with a bloodline drive, like Randolph Carter, to convert additional stability points into magic points after awakening their mystical potential. Complexity and flexibility. The chapter encourages keepers to tailor magic's rules and lore according to their campaign's tone, from purist to pulpy styles. Examples and case studies. Examples illustrate how investigators interact with Mythos magic, how they gain magic rating, and various narrative touches emphasize the perilous and awe-inspiring nature of arcane power. Chapter 4 thus sets the conceptual and mechanical groundwork for understanding how magic operates in the Trail of Cthulhu universe. It establishes both a philosophical background and practical game rules, balancing Lovecraftian eldritch horror with playable systems for investigators and sorcerers. Chapter 4 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, provides a deep and detailed exploration of the theoretical and metaphysical nature of magic in the Lovecraftian mythos, grounded in both occult philosophy and game mechanics. Detailed breakdown of Chapter 4. Magic as perceptual and cosmic energy. Magic is described as a perceptual gravity, an energy that magi manipulate by focusing their will and transcending ordinary human perception. This involves accessing extra-dimensional energies and cosmic forces through rituals, sigils, and geometric patterns which act as control systems. Divergent theories. The chapter presents multiple, often contradictory theories about how mythos magic functions, inspired by Lovecraft's own varying storylines, lesser mythos authors, occult practitioners, and creative invention. These include magic as pollution from elemental god collisions causing dimensional instability, magic as dealing with spirits along dimensional edges, agents or avatars of Nyarlathotep or facets of Yog-Sothoth. Magic as tapping into ancient pre-human technology or embedded cosmic codes in matter including DNA and stones. The magic ability. This is introduced as a new general ability in the game, which cannot be bought at character creation. Instead, characters gain magic rating points through in-game experiences such as reading mythos tomes, communing with outer gods or titans, visiting magical places of power, or learning from teachers with high magic ratings. The keeper can customize which methods apply to their campaign. Acquisition of magic. The chapter details several acquisition methods. Mythos tomes. Forbidden books such as the Necronomicon confer magic potential points to readers. Magic from titans and outer gods. Contact or perception of powerful cosmic beings can grant magic points. Teachers. More experienced magi can instruct less knowledgeable ones, with time and resources required. Places of power. Geographically or cosmically charged sites can also provide magic points when properly accessed through rituals. The Carter option. For characters with a blood drive, like Randolph Carter, there is an optional rule to convert gained stability points into magic points after their mystical awakening. Using magic in gameplay. Magic points can substitute for stability points when casting spells, reducing mental strain. However, some spells still require sanity or other specific costs. Characters without the magic ability may attempt spellcasting by sacrificing more stability. Examples and narrative touches. Illustrations show how spellcasting, binding, or summoning might be performed by investigators or villains, highlighting both the risks and cosmic power involved, reinforcing the eldritch horror tone. Flexibility for keepers. The rules and lore are presented with a flexible approach to accommodate different campaign styles, from purist cosmic horror to pulpy adventure. Chapter 4 ultimately grounds the player and keeper in an understanding of the mysterious, multifaceted nature of mythos magic. It sets game mechanics alongside the thematic elements of cosmic horror and forbidden knowledge, shaping how magic is earned, used, and experienced in Trail of Cthulhu campaigns. Chapter 5 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, focuses on spells and spellcasting with a dramatic perspective, introducing new spells, variations on classic spells, and expanded investigative options related to magic. Summary of Chapter 5. New spells. The chapter presents powerful and dangerous spells for use by heroic investigators and dark magicians alike. Examples include Call, Dismiss Azathoth, an apocalyptic ritual causing widespread destruction and requiring severe stability or magic costs. Call, Dismiss Mordigion, which involves necromantic settings and rituals requiring graveyards or battlefields. Call, Dismiss Shub Niggurath, involving wilderness rites with a blood sacrifice and dark ceremonies. Spells like Dominate, allowing control over a target's will within specific constraints. Ensorcel Item, to enchant objects for magical storage or effect. Create Binding Sigil, a ritual to create symbols that aid in binding mythos creatures. Create Hypertime Gate, which creates temporal gates joining points in time. Various contact spells for summoning mythos creatures like Hounds of Tindalos or Sand Dwellers. Spellcasting mechanics. Details of casting times, stability test difficulties, costs and stability, magic, health points, and required rituals provide mechanical depth and dramatic tension. Magic points can substitute for stability costs, but some spells have vital exceptions. Variations on old spells. To keep the game unpredictable, variations on classic mythos spells are provided, each with additional or altered casting requirements, conditions, or effects. Magic traces and investigation. Casting spells leaves physical, psychic, or supernatural traces detectable by a variety of investigative abilities such as archaeology, chemistry, forensics, and occultism. This enhances gameplay and storytelling by providing clues to magical activities. Legendary magicians. The chapter references historical and mythos sorcerers like Edmund Carter and John Dee, enriching narrative potential through legendary magical legacies. Narrative and dramatic focus. The section emphasizes the terror, risk, and awe associated with using magic, reinforcing Lovecraftian themes of forbidden knowledge and cosmic horror. Chapter 5 is pivotal for adding new magical options and flavorful depth to Trail of Cthulhu gameplay, balancing complex mechanics with atmospheric storytelling and enabling rich role-playing centered on eldritch sorcery. Chapter 5 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, provides a richly detailed and dramatic exploration of spellcasting, introducing new spells, variations on classic spells, and expanded investigative options concerning magic. Detailed content of Chapter 5. New spells and rituals includes powerful and dangerous spells like Call, Dismiss Azathoth, which entails an apocalyptic ritual causing massive environmental damage and heavy costs in stability or magic and health. Call, Dismiss Mordigion, requires graveyards or battlefields and cannibalism for calling, and drains the caster's physical resources to dismiss. Call, Dismiss Shub Niggurath, involves wilderness rites with blood sacrifice. Other spells include Dominate, for controlling wills, Ensorcel Item, to enchant objects capable of storing magical power, Create Binding Sigil, to reduce mythos creature resistance, Create Hypertime Gate, to open gates between points in time, and contact spells to summon mythos entities like Hounds of Tindalos or Sand Dwellers. Spellcasting mechanics. Details include test difficulties for stability, substitution of magic points for stability points in casting, costs in terms of stability, magic, health, and sanity pool points, and casting times. Examples show how investigators or fiendish magicians expend stability or magic pool points, make tests, and potentially bind monsters. Variations on classic spells. Variants of key spells like Call Haster, Call Yog Sothoth, Contact Cthulhu, and Contact Nyarlathotep introduce modified conditions such as requiring the caster to be trepanned, cut out their tongue, or have been through near-death experiences. These changes emphasize the mutable, dangerous nature of Mythos magic and keep gameplay unpredictable. Magic traces and investigation. Magic leaves physical, psychic, and cosmic traces in environments, such as unnatural weather patterns, plant mutations, blighted landscapes, and residue detectable by investigative abilities like archaeology, chemistry, forensics, and occultism. These traces provide narrative hooks for investigation and climactic storytelling moments. Legendary sorcerers and magical lore. The chapter references historical and mythos magicians such as Edmund Carter, John Dee, Iban, and Malagris, linking spells and traditions to a rich background of occult legacy and inspiring new plotlines and magical artifacts. Narrative emphasis. The tone stresses the horror, awe, and dangerous costs of wielding magic, reinforcing the Lovecraftian themes of forbidden knowledge and cosmic dread. Chapter 5 thus significantly expands Trail of Cthulhu's magical repertoire with evocative spells, complex casting rules, and immersive lore, empowering keepers and players to craft haunting, high-stakes magical encounters within the mythos. Chapter 6 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, explores the theoretical and metaphysical dimensions of magic in the mythos, incorporating Lovecraftian philosophy, occult traditions, and game mechanics. Summary of Chapter 6. Magic as perceptual force. Magic is described as perceptual gravity, an energy accessible through the will and perception of multidimensional realities. It depends on cosmic phenomena, blood sacrifice, the caster's focus, and relationships with cosmic entities. Contradictory theories. The chapter presents many divergent and eventually contradictory perspectives on mythos magic, magic as pollution from cosmic god collision, as spirits manifesting Nyarlathotep or Yog-Sothoth, or as ancient pre-human technologies encoded in matter including DNA and stones. Magic ability origins. Introduces the magic ability for characters, which must be gained through in-game experiences such as reading forbidden tomes, communing with great entities, learning from powerful teachers, or visiting places of mystical power. Sources of magic. 4 main sources provide game mechanics and narrative rationale for magic acquisition: forbidden mythos tomes, contact with titans or outer gods, study under experienced teachers or magi, sacred or mystical places of power. Casting mechanics. Magic points can substitute for stability points in casting spells, with some spells requiring additional costs like sanity or health. The rules offer flexibility for different campaign styles, purist or pulp, and for non-magician spellcasters. Narrative flavor. The chapter mixes cosmic horror themes with occult mysticism, emphasizing magic's dangerous, awe-inspiring, and reality-warping aspects in gameplay. Chapter 6 sets the conceptual and mechanical foundation for understanding and using eldritch magic in Trail of Cthulhu campaigns, balancing Lovecraftian cosmic horror themes with practical rules for investigators and magi. Chapter 6 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, delves deeply into the nature, sources, and mechanics of the magic ability within the Trail of Cthulhu game, blending Lovecraftian philosophy with detailed gameplay rules. Detailed content of Chapter 6. Magic Ability Introduction. Magic is introduced as a new general ability that characters cannot buy at creation but must gain in play by specific in-game experiences. These include reading mythos tomes, communing with cosmic entities like Yog-Sothoth, studying under experienced magical teachers, or visiting places of power tied to eldritch forces. Sources of magic. Mythos tomes. Forbidden books such as the Necronomicon, Al-Azif, or Cultes des Ghouls contain raw magic potential points. Reading these tomes grants magic rating points but cannot be gained repeatedly from the same tome. Cosmic entities. Contact or perception of powerful beings like Yog-Sothoth or other outer gods may confer magic points based on the nature and intensity of the encounter. Teachers. Learning magic from a teacher requires patience, dedicated study, access to significant magical lore, and often months of instruction. Teachers must have a sufficiently higher magic rating. Places of power. certain locations accumulate magical energy and can bestow magic potential on those who attune to them, sometimes over rituals or prolonged contact. The Carter option. This narrative mechanic allows investigators driven by a sorceress bloodline to convert stability gains into initial magic points upon a mystical awakening, reflecting hereditary eldritch power. Using magic points. Magic pool points can substitute for stability pool points in casting spells and resisting magical effects, easing the mental burden of sorcery. Some spells, however, still require sanity or health costs. Spellcasting examples. The chapter gives detailed examples of spellcasting scenarios, including using magic points to mitigate stability cost, binding monsters, and the perilous consequences for both investigators and fiendish magicians. Optional rules for non-magicians. Provides guidelines for how investigators without the magic ability might attempt to cast spells by burning additional stability, preserving game balance. Refreshing magic pools. Magic pool points replenish differently depending on campaign style. Purist campaigns refresh between adventures only, while pulp games allow more frequent refreshes. Magic potential table. Lists magic potential values for numerous Mythos tomes and locations, giving keepers guidance on awarding magic rating points. Chapter 6 fundamentally establishes how eldritch magic is acquired, used, and managed mechanically in Trail of Cthulhu, grounding the supernatural power system in both Lovecraftian lore and balanced gameplay. Chapter 7 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, highlights the extraordinary powers and abilities of fully realized, Sanity Zero Mythos Magi, exploring their cosmic mastery and the narrative impact of such entities in gameplay. Summary of Chapter 7. Full-blown Magi powers. Magicians who have lost all sanity exhibit immense and often incomprehensible powers. Their abilities go far beyond conventional spellcasting, encompassing manipulation of time, space, energy, and reality itself. These powers can be akin to racial or alien special abilities, challenging normal play conventions. Examples of powers. Dominating or altering the physical world, such as summoning storms or warping natural phenomena. Causing disquiet or madness in animals or people. Achieving forms of immortality through necromancy or occult practices. Performing psychic or temporal manipulations, including time travel or hyperspatial travel. Intimidation and commanding obedience through supernatural or arcane means. Narrative role. These magi often serve as cosmic dread figures or ancient sorcerers who influence the plot through both direct power and the fear they inspire. They may be linked to legendary figures within the mythos or historical occultists. Investigative clues. The chapter also suggests ways to portray and reveal these magi's activities through environmental clues, uncanny events, altered realities, and magical traces, enriching investigation and storytelling. Idiosyncratic magic. Options for idiosyncratic or unique magic tied to character abilities or investigative skills, allowing for flavor and variety in sorcery that doesn't fit standard spell lists. Chapter 7 thus presents the apex of magical power in Trail of Cthulhu, balancing awe-inspiring supernatural ability with investigative challenge and narrative tension in Lovecraftian horror campaigns. Chapter 7 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, offers a detailed look at what full-blown, Sanity Zero magicians within the mythos setting can accomplish, highlighting their extraordinary, often reality-warping powers. Detailed content of Chapter 7. Powers of Sanity Zero Magi. These magicians, having lost all sanity, wield cosmic and arcane abilities far beyond typical spellcasting. Their powers include controlling natural forces like storms, time, and space, exhibiting near immortality, and commanding supernatural beings. Their abilities may function like racial or innate powers rather than strictly spells. Commanding the physical world, influencing natural elements and phenomena, such as summoning storms or altering temperatures, is a common manifestation of magical power. These effects often herald the presence of such magicians and add atmospheric dread. Disquieting animals. such magi can unnaturally influence animals' behavior, driving them mad, scared, or catatonic. This can serve narrative functions in campaign by disrupting environments or preying on investigators' fears. Immortality. The chapter discusses various methods by which legendary magi achieve or simulate immortality, including necromancy, occult rituals, or pacts with cosmic entities. Time travel and hyperspatial awareness. Advanced magicians perceive all times simultaneously and may move through time and dimensions as part of their abilities, echoing the lore of characters like Randolph Carter or the Great Race of Yeth. Hypnosis and mental powers. Potent magicians use hypnosis or telepathic compulsion on others, bending wills and distorting perceptions, often as a means of control or protection. Narrative usage. These magi form central cosmic horror threats or arcane plot drivers, embodying the profound alienness and power of eldritch sorcery. Idiosyncratic magic. The chapter also highlights unique, individualized magic tailored through idiosyncratic abilities or investigative skills, enabling creative magical expressions beyond standard spells. Chapter 7 thus serves to elevate the magical threat and awe in Trail of Cthulhu campaigns, providing keepers and players a framework for the most powerful and terrifying magicians personifying cosmic horror in gameplay. Chapter 8 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, covers the practical and dramatic aspects of casting deadly spells, magical investigations, and the identification of magical traces and clues. Summary of Chapter 8. Deadly Spells. Introduces agonizing, powerful spells that have severe consequences on targets, such as the Steal Life incantation, which drains vitality to rejuvenate the caster. The casting process often relies on difficult stability tests and uses stability, magic, or health points as costs. Investigative abilities and clues. Examination of magical scenes or aftermaths uses various investigative abilities like archaeology, anthropology, occultism, chemistry, outdoorsman, and forensics to reveal physical, psychic, or supernatural traces left by magic. Examples include odd plant growth, unnatural rock weathering, peculiar atmospheric phenomena, or strange animal behaviors. Magical legacy and lore. References legendary sorcerers and their legacies, such as Edmund Carter and John Dee, whose grimoires and magical knowledge provide backstory and inspiration. Hypnosis and idiosyncratic magic. The chapter discusses how hypnosis can be used to shape memories or perceptions and how idiosyncratic magic may influence or augment investigative abilities, allowing investigators to uncover otherwise hidden clues through specialized, unique magical means. Narrative emphasis. Emphasizes the eerie, mysterious, and dangerous nature of magical investigation, reinforcing cosmic horror themes as investigators unravel eerie phenomena and dread sorceries. Chapter 8 thus equips keepers and players with tools to dramatize magic's lethal effects and uncover its traces, fueling supernatural mysteries and tense investigations in Trail of Cthulhu campaigns. Chapter 8 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, expands on spellcasting's lethal potential and the investigative process of uncovering magical traces. Detailed content of Chapter 8. Deadly Spells. The chapter introduces agonizing spells such as Steal Life, which drains a victim's vitality to rejuvenate the caster. These spells require difficult stability tests and expend stability, magic, or health points, with detailed mechanics for their casting and effects. Investigative abilities for magic traces. It explains how various investigative abilities, archaeology, anthropology, occultism, chemistry, outdoorsman, forensics, and others, can detect physical, psychic, or supernatural traces left behind by magical rituals and spellcasting. Examples of traces include unnatural plant growth or decay, mysterious residues in environments, distorted weather or light, and behavioral changes in animals. Clues can manifest as ritual objects, inscriptions, anomalous physical evidence, or psychic impressions. Magical legacy and lore. The chapter references historical and mythos sorcerers like Edmund Carter and John Dee, whose grimoires and magical knowledge enrich the campaign backdrop and inspire story ideas. Hypnosis and idiosyncratic magic. Magic can affect memories and perceptions through hypnosis or idiosyncratic magical approaches that complement investigative skills. These provide narrative and mechanical means for uncovering hidden mysteries and hidden magical truths. Narrative emphasis. The chapter helps shape a Lovecraftian investigative atmosphere by providing tools for storytellers to create tension and mystery around magical phenomena, emphasizing the eerie and dangerous nature of such knowledge. Chapter 8 thus offers comprehensive material for dramatizing the deadly and mysterious facets of magic while supporting investigative gameplay, encouraging a rich supernatural mystery experience in Trail of Cthulhu campaigns. Chapter 9 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, focuses on the advanced, cosmic, and metaphysical aspects of magic, emphasizing Lovecraftian theories and the broader cosmic universe. Summary of Chapter 9. Cosmic and mystical powers. This chapter hints at the powers possessed by the most formidable, Sanity Zero magicians, who can influence or even command the fundamental forces of the universe. These abilities are often analogous to alien or cosmic entities' vast powers, such as manipulating time, space, energy, or creating reality-warping effects. Full-blown magi abilities. Such magicians might command natural phenomena like storms or weather at will, control or influence the behavior of animals and humans, achieve a form of immortality through necromancy or alien science, perceive all times and communicate across dimensions instantaneously, influence or create dimensional gates, wormholes, or hyperspaces. Magic as higher reality. Lovecraft's cosmology suggests a higher or deeper reality that is alien, dangerous, and incomprehensible to humans. This supersensible world is often accessible only through madness, dreams, or initiatory experiences. It overlaps with our own universe, forming a disturbing metaphysical unity where reality and illusion intertwine. Causal and mathematical foundations. Lovecraftian magic is strongly associated with geometry, mathematics, and symbols, geometric knots, fractals, or complex diagrams, as expressions of the universe's underlying principles. Symbolism and formulae. Powerful spells and magic systems often relate to ancient geometries, mathematical formulas, and sigils that serve as bridges or barriers between dimensions, worlds, and cosmic forces. Mythos lore and theories. The chapter cites numerous cosmic and mythic theories, ranging from the alien biotechnologies of the Elder Things to the prehuman magic of ancient civilizations, highlighting that the universe is layered with hidden, eldritch forces accessible through arcane knowledge and cosmic alignment. Lovecraftian cultures and sites. It describes places of power such as ancient cities, sacred sites, and relics, each with specific magic potentials and cosmic significance, linking them to the lore of the mythos. Interpretation and application. The chapter encourages keepers to craft campaigns emphasizing the cosmic and mysterious nature of Lovecraftian magic, where spells are not merely incantations but expressions of the universe's hidden, dangerous truths. Chapter 9 thus deepens the understanding of magic as a profound, universe-altering force rooted in cosmic mysteries, emphasizing its philosophic and metaphysical foundations, and providing narrative tools for creating awe-inspiring, universe-bending scenarios. Chapter 9 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, delves into the cosmic, metaphysical, and philosophical foundations of Lovecraftian magic. It presents a broad and deep exploration of how magic interacts with the universe's underlying reality, combining game mechanics with Lovecraftian themes. Detailed highlights of Chapter 9. Cosmic and mystical powers. The chapter discusses the immense, universe-altering powers that full-blown, Sanity Zero magi may wield. Such powers include control over time, space, energy, and reality, often mirroring the capabilities of alien or cosmic entities. Magic as higher reality. Lovecraftian magic is framed as accessing a supersensible or higher reality beyond ordinary perception. This reality is alien, dangerous, and often incomprehensible. Magic connects to this realm through madness, dreams, initiatory experiences, and arcane knowledge. Platonic illusions. The material world is portrayed as an illusion or reflection of ideal forms, aligning with Neoplatonist philosophy. Magic allows practitioners to alter these reflections, imposing their will on reality. Primordial lore. Lovecraftian magic often derives from ancient, pre-human civilizations whose knowledge blends magic and advanced science, such as the Elder Things biotechnological manipulation. Geometric and mathematical foundations. Magic uses geometry, mathematics, and symbolic systems. Sigils, fractals, and formulas serve as control systems linking mortals with cosmic forces. Mythos lore and sites of power. Ancient cities, sacred sites, and relics imbued with magical potential play key roles. Their significance and magic points in the game provide narrative and mechanical depth. Divergent theories. The chapter embraces multiple, sometimes contradictory, theories about magic's nature and origins, leaving interpretation flexible for different campaigns. Narrative and game impact. Keepers are encouraged to emphasize mystery, cosmic horror, and the unknowable nature of magic, weaving it into campaign themes with flexibility and creativity. Chapter 9 thus enriches the conceptual understanding of magic's cosmic horror roots, providing tools for creating awe-inspiring and universe-bending magical narratives in Trail of Cthulhu campaigns. Chapter 10 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, continues to expand on the practical application of the magic ability within the game's mechanics, providing detailed examples and guidance for incorporating magical effects and spellcasting into play. Summary of Chapter 10. Examples of using the magic ability. The chapter provides narrative-driven, step-by-step examples of investigators and magicians casting spells, binding monsters, and engaging in magical contests. These examples illustrate the interplay between stability, magic pool points, and other resources such as health and sanity. Spellcasting scenarios. Included are cases such as a wizard chalking sigils to summon beings, expending stability or magic points to succeed on tests, and binding creatures like Bayaki to serve investigators. There are also examples of necromancers using powerful spells like Call Yog Sothoth, including contest rolls against the reality's inertia to complete rituals. Mechanics for non-magician spellcasting. The chapter outlines optional rules allowing investigators without the magic ability to attempt spellcasting by burning stability points, though at greater risk and cost. This supports narrative arcs where desperate characters wield magic without formal training. Magic pool refresh rules. A distinction is made between purist campaigns, where magic pool points refresh between adventures only, and pulp campaigns, where investigators may refresh magic more frequently under certain conditions like study or exposure to magical energies. Conversion guidelines. For adapting NPCs or creatures from other game systems, suggestions are given to assign magic ratings based on stability or POW values, ensuring consistency and balance. Magic and monsters. The chapter discusses inherent magical abilities possessed by mythos creatures and alien races, identifying possible magic ratings and typical spells or powers they wield, from ghouls and deep ones to Loigor and MIGO. Non-mythos magic. Acknowledges the existence of non-mythos magical traditions, such as folk magic, hoodoo, or ceremonial magic. Depending on the campaign, keepers may separate these as distinct abilities or treat all magic as variations of mythos magic. Chapter 10 thus provides practical tools and clarifications ensuring smooth and immersive integration of magic into Trail of Cthulhu gameplay, balancing narrative richness with mechanical clarity. Chapter 10 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, provides detailed practical examples and guidance for using the magic ability and spellcasting in gameplay, alongside insights on magical creatures and variant magic traditions. Detailed content of Chapter 10. Spellcasting examples. This chapter walks through step-by-step examples of investigators and magicians casting spells like summoning, binding mythos creatures, e.g., a Bayaki, or performing elaborate rituals, e.g., calling Yog Sothoth. It demonstrates how stability and magic pool points are spent, how tests are rolled, and how contests with monsters' resistances are resolved. Non-magician spellcasting. Optional rules allow non-magician characters to cast spells by spending additional stability points instead of magic points, reflecting scenarios where desperate characters wield magic without formal training. Guidelines cover cooperation among multiple casters and balance issues. Magic pool refresh. Distinguishes between purist campaigns, where magic pools only refresh between adventures, versus pulp campaigns, which allow more frequent magic pool regeneration through study or exposure to magical energies. Conversion guidelines. Suggestions are provided for converting NPC magicians or creatures from other systems to the magic ability framework, using stability or POW values as baselines. Magic and monsters. Many mythos beings, such as ghouls, deep ones, Loigor, and Mi-Go, have inherent magical abilities and magic ratings consistent with their lore and narrative role. The section details typical spells and powers for these creatures. Non-mythos magic. The chapter recognizes other magic traditions beyond the mythos, such as folk magic or ceremonial rites, allowing keepers to use distinct magical abilities or treat all magic as variations on the mythos system. Legendary magicians and lore. Historical and mythical figures like Edmund Carter, John Dee, and Iban provide inspiration for new spells, artifacts, and magical lineages within campaigns. Chapter 10 thus equips keepers and players with practical mechanics, examples, and narrative tools to integrate magic smoothly into Trail of Cthulhu, enhancing both the horror atmosphere and gameplay depth. Chapter 11 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, continues expanding on the nuances of Lovecraftian magic, focusing on its philosophical underpinnings, the practical aspects of handling magical knowledge, and how magic manifests in the game world. Summary of Chapter 11. Nature of magic. The chapter discusses the difficulty of defining magic, comparing historical, anthropological, and occult perspectives, and tying these to Lovecraftian concepts of magic as secret, alien, and reality-altering forces. Theories of magic. Magic is viewed as a perceptual and cosmic force, functioning as perceptual gravity, where magi manipulate unseen energies connected to higher dimensional realities and eldritch entities like Yog-Sothoth and Nyarlathotep. Magic as Platonic illusion. The material world is described as a shadow or reflection of higher true forms, and magic involves bending this illusion through will and symbol, with mathematics and geometry playing crucial roles in spellcasting. Primordial lore. Much of the magical knowledge comes from prehuman or alien civilizations, blending advanced science with occult power, such as biotechnological control by elder things and Paleogean magic. Magic mechanics. This chapter reiterates the acquisition and use of the magic ability, emphasizing that it must be gained through specific in-game experiences and not bought at character creation. Magic signifiers and rituals. The significance of words of power, rituals, sacred geometry, and arcane formulae are highlighted as crucial for controlling and accessing magic's cosmic energies. Narrative embellishment, including references to legendary magicians like Randolph Carter and John Dee. The chapter enriches the setting's occult mythos, inviting keepers to incorporate deep lore and cosmic horror themes. Idiosyncratic magic and investigation offers expanded options for unique magical effects linked to investigative abilities, allowing for creative narrative and mechanical applications. Chapter 11 serves to deepen both the metaphysical and gameplay comprehension of Lovecraftian magic, marrying thematic complexity with richly detailed game mechanics to enhance Trail of Cthulhu campaigns. Chapter 11 of Trail of Cthulhu, Rough Magics, offers a deep exploration of the philosophical, historical, and metaphysical aspects of Lovecraftian magic, connecting thematic depth with gameplay mechanics. Detailed Chapter 11 content. Defining magic. The chapter acknowledges the difficulty of defining magic, blending perspectives from anthropology, theology, and occultism, while situating Lovecraftian magic as secret, alien, and reality warping. Magic as perceptual gravity. Magic is described as a force tied to perception, where magi can manipulate transdimensional energies using words of power, sigils, and geometry, visualizing energy fields beyond normal senses. Platonic illusion. The material world is a shadow or reflection of ideal forms in a higher realm. Magic allows bending or reshaping this illusory world through will and arcane mathematics. Primordial lore and alien science. Much magical knowledge originates from prehuman or alien civilizations, blending biotechnological control and occult practices, like those of the Elder Things. Magic ability and acquisition. Magic rating points are gained in-game by reading tomes, communing with cosmic entities, learning from teachers, or visiting magical places. They cannot be bought at character creation. Words of power and rituals. Power lies in controlling cosmic energies through ritual acts, sacred geometry, and arcane formulae. These rituals form the core of spellcasting's power. Legendary sorcerers and lineage. Historical and mythical figures such as Randolph Carter, Edmund Carter, John Dee, and Iban serve as narrative anchors for magical traditions. Idiosyncratic magic offers an expanded system for unique magical effects linked to investigative abilities for creative storytelling. Chapter 11 enriches Trail of Cthulhu by merging Lovecraftian cosmic horror themes with detailed magical mechanics, giving keepers and players a rich foundation for eldritch sorcery and mystery. Fragile Hinges trademark. Archive Press. Copyright 2025. All rights reserved. This work, including all text and original content, is protected under copyright law. No part of this material may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means without authorization from the P.N.T.R. network.